On the eastern edge of Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, we find a beautiful area with a variety of geological environments. Just a short drive from the quaint town of Grand Marais, and a short walk down a path from the parking area, you are greeted by the mesmerizing sounds of waterfalls. The Sable Falls are a great example of a river finding the path of least resistance to its final release into Lake Superior. The river cuts through the Jacobsville and Munising Formation here at this beautiful stair-step falls. The water is unable to cut through the all-terrain cap layer, which is much harder than the softer layers beneath it. The results are a cascading waterfall some 75 feet tall. All the falls found here in the park are a result of this strong all-terrain cap, which was formed over 500 million years ago. As you follow the river path down the shoreline, you find the Pebble Beach. To the west, the river empties into the blue waters of Lake Superior with a contrasting brown hue. This Pebble Beach is a tie-dye of colors and sizes. You may find an agate or other miniature treasures from the Earth's bounty. Remember to take pictures of the rocks, not the rocks themselves. Leave the treasures for future park visitors. An amazing variety of rock types are visible here. This huge variety of rock is evident of the great ice sheets that once scraped the lands here and to the north, leaving behind a huge assortment of rocks. Sit down and take some time to dig down and investigate these amazing art pieces of rock. Look up to the west and the Grand Sable banks loom like giants over the lakeshore. The great earth processes of the banks make you feel small and insignificant. These banks are a result of the last glacier advance called the Marquette Advance. Imagine a wall of ice a mile high or more, standing in front of you with fierce winds rushing off, and a torrent of water flowing between the land and the ice. The banks were formed over 5,000 years ago of this glacial outwash and debris. As the glaciers advanced and ablated and the lake levels changed, the banks became monsters. At the top of Sable Banks we find the Grand Sable Dunes. The Native Americans called this sacred place Gitchinauga, or the Great Sands. These perched dunes are unique in the world. A steady walk from the path from the Pebble Beach past the falls takes you to a trail leading into the eastern edge of the wonderful dunes. The dunes are formed by the battle of sand and vegetation, with the forces of wind and water driving the war. The dunes consist of many ecosystems and niches. Orchids, flowers, and other plants unique to this area line the path as you walk to the top of the dunes. The ongoing war of vegetation and sand is very evident here at the top. Blowouts, or areas of vegetation retreat, are visible immediate. Open areas of sand with trees holding on for dear life look like a wound in the side of the great dune. Agents of change bash the dunes. Heavy winds, climate changes, wildfires, and even park visitors act as agents of change, loosening the sand so they can reclaim what is rightfully theirs. As you look over the edge, you see areas of where vegetation is winning the battle. Jack pine, wild berries, and hardwood fill the hollows. Wildlife such as white-tailed deer, coyotes, and black bear try to make a go at it here. Look closely and you may find traces of their movements through the dunes. Straight ahead sits a cemetery of an ancient forest, the so-called ghost forest, buried under the sand for so many years, is now only marked by a sign since the great giant has reclaimed it again just a few years earlier. This remnant of an ancient forest allows geologists to date the dunes. The remains of the forest allowed scientists to date the dunes using carbon-14 dating techniques. New tests like ground-penetrating sonar and optically stimulated luminescence has allowed the park geologists to track the history of the Great Dunes dating as far back as 5,000 years. This monster, the Grand Sable Banks and Dunes, is a great example of how the Earth is ever-changing. Stand here, look around, take some pictures, and put it in your memory, because when you return later, it will have changed again. You can understand why the Ojibwe used this site for religious ceremonies to mark important stages in Ojibwe life. This day trip is an exciting way to see a variety of ecosystems present here at Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore. Remember that our national parks are precious and fragile. The memories you create here will be with you for a lifetime, and maybe for the lifetime of your children. But if we are not careful, the dunes will not survive for the generations to come.